The Resident Evil 4 remake was announced months ago. However, the company showed an insufficient amount of gameplay footage. That's why fans have been dying for another gameplay reveal, which happened this week, and it was incredible. The game looks fascinating and has received nothing but positive feedback from the community so far. Today, we will discuss the elements that I think were most interesting from the trailer and the gameplay. Some of them are bad, but most of them are good. So sit back and relax, because I have a lot to tell you guys. First, I want to talk about how the remake is apparently more inclined towards horror than the original. Resident Evil 4 is an amazing game with an army of fans, but still, a lot of people refuse to label it as a horror game, simply because they didn't find it scary enough to be one. Unlike other Resident Evil games, for example, Resident Evil 7, the game's overall atmosphere felt very intense and didn't allow the player the time to be relaxed. Every moment made you believe that you are truly in danger and forced you to look for the next safe spot. If you look at Resident Evil 4, however, it wasn't that scary. But one part that it nailed was the action aspect. From Leon being able to push multiple enemies off and clean his way with a single kick, to the amazing boss fights that can be replayed infinitely without feeling boring. This game had a very appealing combat system that, despite being simple, felt so versatile and offered a variety of ways to tackle each situation. Well, the Resident Evil 4 remake seems to be just that. It looks very exciting with a lot of new combat mechanics like the knife parry and cow grenades. Yes, you heard that right.
The cow! Oh! Burning cow grenade?
But the difference this time is that it also seems to be extremely scary with an atmosphere of a real horror game. You can really feel the spookiness from the first look at the game. Everything looks so dark and threatening, and when you add sound effects to it, it's a whole different story.
No fucking way.
Now, let's take some time to talk about the characters. I know a lot of people don't care about this, but there was a rumor out there that the merchant was going to have a Spanish accent in a remake. Fortunately for everybody, it turned out to be completely false. If anything, the merchant's accent is more Australian than in the original.
Over here, stranger.
Although I have to say that it still sounds a bit off. It feels like the voice actor is trying too hard to sound like the original merchant, but kinda went too far. Now, I'm not complaining, and I realize the amount of work they have put into trying to make him faithful to the original, since he even does that little laugh at the end when you buy something from him.
You can't go wrong with that.
But at the same time, I can't help but notice details like this. But overall, I don't think his new design is bad at all, and it's probably about time that it'll grow on me. Lewis is also a character that I think didn't get a proper treatment. His design isn't that bad and has the potential to grow on a player, but still is unsatisfactory compared to something like Chief Mendez or Leon's design. He just looks like he's plotting something evil judging by his weird smile. Actually, I'm not even sure if he's smiling. His original look promotes him to be a trustworthy person with a lot of secrets. With this look, it seems like the secrets are still there, but the difference is that he won't hesitate to backstab you once he gets the chance. Moving on, we can see in one of the shots that Ashley is pointing a gun at someone, so I'm assuming she's more useful now, which is amazing. Her original personality was too childish and required constant babysitting, which is not convenient when you're surrounded by people trying to murder you, so a change in that aspect is huge. And for her new outfit, I don't find it different at all. The only difference is the new extra coat she has on top, which she will lose at some point in the game judging by the trailer. Salazar is also one of the characters that have gotten a controversial design. He looks dramatically different. I think his new look is more villain-like than the original, but it doesn't represent his personality thoroughly, because in addition to being a villain, he was also a perfect boss to have those cheesy and funny conversations with Leon we all like.
I have absolute control.
Well, I really don't give a damn. Rain or shine, you're going down.
In this version of his, however, he seems to be just a little too serious. But that's just me overanalyzing his limited appearance in the trailer. We're gonna have to wait for the game to drop and see more of him in order to form a complete opinion about his design. Moving on, let's talk about voice acting. Starting with Leon, I think his voice acting was a lot better than I thought it would be. When I heard that this character was not going to be voiced by his original voice actor Paul Mercier, I was not expecting much. But when I heard his voice, I was in shock of how accurately similar it is. I mean, it's still not the same experience as the original, but there are truly moments when it's hard to believe that it isn't the original voice actor. I mean, just listen to this line.
How far could he have gone?
Although it still hurts to know that it isn't the original voice actor, it's very hard not to appreciate Nick Apostolidis' performance. Speaking about voice acting, let's get this out of the way. Ada's voice acting is very, very weird. I listened to it many times and I can't help but think that her voice was separately recorded through a cheap device and sent in a text message before it was used in a game. That might have been a very stupid description, but I still believe that something was wrong with the voice aside from the raw performance of the voice actor.
You can stop right there. You're awake at last?
Where am I?
That doesn't matter. You were.
My eyes.
It's a side effect. One of the things we had to do to bring you back. There will be others. Ada. My name is Ada Wong.
Unlike Ada, you can tell Chief Mendez has an amazing voice acting, even though he spoke for just one line.
Your soul requires cleansing.
I always liked his thick accent in original, and the way it matched his solid body and enormous physical strength. Well, it looks like they are going to carry that out with the remake. Apart from that, his design looks absolutely beautiful, and easily the best design out of all the ones included in the trailer in my opinion. And he has a hat now for some reason. I don't remember him having a hat. It looks like one of those magician hats that has a lot of rabbits inside of it, doesn't it? I think I'm starting to get out of track here, so maybe it's a good time to wrap this video up. So guys, there you have it. These were all the things that I thought would be interesting to mention. If you have anything else you thought was significant that I left behind, please go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.